Hey there folks, welcome to Spectrum Pulse. We talk about music, movies, art, and culture. And today we're going to be talking about the new album from Cassadee Pope, titled Frame by Frame. But first, let's talk about The Voice. Formed in the waning years of American Idol, The Voice was a desperate move by NBC to regain some market share given that several other mainstream programs were getting crushed by Fox and CBS. They made the gamble that if they brought in several recognizable and bankable music stars who were desperate enough to regain the spotlight and that had then overcome said image-based discrimination of the pop scene with their contestants, they'd capitalize on the degeneration of American Idol. So they recruited Christina Aguilera, who hadn't done anything worth mentioning in the charts in the past several years, Adam Levine, who had just come out of a failed album and who was hit with some pretty powerful writer's block, CeeLo Green, who had just had a massive hit and was looking to coast by on it as long as he could, and Blake Shelton, who hadn't had chart success in over a decade. NBC decided to put the show out, and it was actually a massive hit and it proved instrumental in reviving the careers of the majority of the hosts as well. But here's the element that gets interesting. Most of the winners from The Voice didn't really succeed in the same vein as Kelly Clarkson or Carrie Underwood or even Adam Lambert or Philip Phillips. The albums were delayed, the hits didn't really materialize outside of some minor success on Billboard, and the show didn't turn into the massive chart-defying money spinner that American Idol had been. Hell, it wasn't even as potent influencing the charts as Glee was. In short, it's hard for me to look at this show and any of the winning contestants as just props to reinvigorate the careers of already established artists. Now that's not denigrating any of their vocal talent because most of them are very good vocalists, but it's worth noting that Zac Brown might have actually been wrong when he slammed Blake Shelton and how his influence had led to success for its chosen stars, because really, it hasn't. But perhaps this is all going to change now with the arrival of Miss Cassadee Pope, the winner from the third season of The Voice and who just released her new pop country album Frame by Frame. Now, to be completely honest, I never watched The Voice, half because I didn't care and half because, well, I don't have cable. But with that in mind, I took a look at Cassadee Pope's major label debut. Did she manage to rise above her reality show roots like Kelly Clarkson and Carrie Underwood did before her? No. No, she didn't. In fact, Cassadee Pope's debut album is exactly what I was expecting and dreading from her debut. Inoffensive, generally bland material that had so little character and personality that I honestly wondered how on earth I was going to be able to talk about this album at all. This review is probably going to end up being pretty short because there's just so little to say about this album. It's not special, it certainly isn't very interesting, and it's a big warning sign coming from The Voice that the new talent they're promoting probably isn't going to have any staying power. Is it bad per se? No, not really. But I'm hard-pressed to find a lot of good to say about this album either, which is the real depressing part. Okay. So let's start with the instrumentation and production, which is definitively pop country in every single way, bearing all the strengths and way too many of the current weaknesses of that particular format. So we get inorganic drum machines that clash terribly against the guitars and the fiddles, heavy electric guitars that often overwhelm the mix and often our lead singer along the way, and the production that is completely shallow and devoid of any real depth or texture. What's worse here is that none of these elements mashed together even manage to really actively offend me. No, it's just altogether bland and completely unmemorable, lacking any striking hooks or much about the instrumentation that stands out at all. And like with every attempt to return to the more traditional country instrumentation, as they do try to on a couple of points of this album, it just feels awkward with the production so that every element just feels glaringly out of place. So okay, what about the vocals? Well, arguably they'd be the best part of this album. Cassadee Pope won The Voice based off of her vocal performance, after all. But man, I was not moved by her work here. At best, it sounds like she was kind of going for a Taylor Swift affectation, but there's a very distinctive lack of charisma and very real emotion on her tracks. Everything just feels very polished and very clean, and while that can work in the right setting with the right instrumentation to back it up, it just serves to strip away Cassadee Pope of any nascent personality that she might have. I gotta be honest, she sounds a little bit like a wannabe, and I hate saying that. Maybe things would have been better if the lyrics and the subject matter were stronger, because for the most part, they're not. The two songs that I could say I liked or were anything close to unique were 11 and Proving You Wrong. But those songs are immediately counterbalanced by Easier to Lie, an absolutely wretched song written by Max Martin that tries to get us to feel sympathetic for Cassadee Pope's cheating and then lying about it to her boyfriend. No, that's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna excuse this sort of horse manure the same way that I held Rihanna to task for Unfaithful. Sure, it might be relatable to some girls, but I refuse to pander to the weak excuses that Cassadee Pope puts up in these songs, none of which are anywhere close to good. And as for the rest of the album, look, it's pretty much forgettable. Although I will point out the irony of this for the opening track, Good Times, a song about not singing heartbreak songs, you just want to sing about having a good time. And then she followed it on the album with a series of breakup heartbreak songs like Wasting All These Tears, I Wish I Could Break Your Heart, and One Song Away. She has her good time party song in Everybody Sings that contains a breakdown reminiscent of Gwen Stefani's Holla Back Girl, but outside of that, there's just nothing here that gives Cassadee Pope any sort of vocal, lyrical, or instrumental personality. The album sounds aggressively bland and producer created, a cash in to capitalize on the voice's popularity. And the few points where there is a little bit of lyrical personality, they ultimately add up to pretty much nothing consequential, nothing that really stuck with me. So, do I recommend Frame by Frame by Cassadee Pope? No, definitely not. I'm not gonna say it's aggressively bad or offensive, because it's not, but it's bland, it's unimpressive, and probably an album that will have left zero impact on me if I think about it in a day or two. It's an easy 5 out of 10, because I won't say that it's even worth hating, but if you're a fan of Cassadee Pope, I honestly don't think this album will impress you very much. If you're not a fan, on the other hand, Frame by Frame will do absolutely nothing for you. Skip it. And if this is a sign of what's going to be coming out of The Voice in the future, I'm not looking forward to the next album from Danielle Bradbury. Okay, well, thanks a lot for watching. I can't imagine there'll be a lot of good response to this video, but it happens. If you'd like to like and subscribe, I'd be more than grateful. If there's anything I might be able to do to improve my presentation, or if there's any other albums you might want me to take a look at, I'd be more than happy to take a look. Gonna be a busy couple of days for me. I'm gonna try and get out as many reviews as I can before I have to go on holidays for Canadian Thanksgiving. Until then, see you next time.